Welcome to my third attempt at recording this video of Backlog Monologue, where I will be talking about what I've been playing recently, and the reason why this is my third attempt is because every time I tried to make this video, I would just push it to the side so I could complete my big projects because they were so time consuming, and if I was to work on something other than them, then they were just never coming out, or just getting delayed more and more. And some of them were on a time schedule, like the Yu-Gi-Oh video, which needed to be out so I could have the sponsorship. So instead of putting it off any longer, I'm just gonna release this one as my test run and just try to get a feel for making these, because if I keep putting it off, then it's never coming out, and I've already commissioned art, as you can see now, so I have to make use of it. The original goal of this, like any other of my small content, is to have something to supplement between big uploads and to help myself play more games, because as I was doing longer and more in-depth videos, I've been playing less and less because I feel guilty that if I'm playing things in my free time, that could be time I could be putting towards doing videos or playing something that I could be making a video on. So if I make just a rambling podcast style video talking about stuff that I've been playing of the month, then maybe that would help me pick at my backlog better and make a dent in it, because it just keeps growing bigger and bigger as more games come out that I want to play. Since this is my third attempt at making this video, as I started the first time right after I made the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Season 2 video, then after I did the Resident Evil 3 stuff, and now, depending on when this is uploaded, before or after the release of my Yakuza 1 video, I have been attempting this for months, and the recordings span across a long period of time. So I put out a poll on Twitter and asked people, hey, would you rather me just do one video talking about everything I've played over the course of these months, or would you rather me just talk about what I've recently been playing, and potentially segment it into multiple videos, just so there'd be more content to be uploaded? And the winner of the poll was just upload one long video from everything you recorded over these few months. So there's going to be varying tones and quality as we jump from discussing game to game, because some things were recorded back in February or March, and now some things are recorded at the end of June. Originally, to open up with these videos, I would talk about what I've currently been working on, but since I've been redoing this intro over and over again, I'm currently taking a small break because I'm just honestly burnt out from doing YouTube. I don't want to get all dramatic and be like, oh, feel bad for me. I'm just tired. I'm taking like a week or two off of just not worrying about YouTube, not checking social media, just playing things I want to, and maybe talking to my friends and not worrying about anything about my channel and analytics and making money. I know that sounds kind of hypocritical with doing this video, but this requires minimal editing of just throwing in footage of said game where it's really not that relevant to what I'm saying, so I could make this really fast and easy. Because if this became super elaborate, then this would just get delayed more and more, and then these would just never be made, and I would never be making content, and I would just get stressed out more about not making content. So I just need to get over the mental barrier of putting out something that I perceive as lower quality, even if my things aren't that high of standards, because honestly they're not. There are people making way better edits than I am, way better videos than I am. Mine are pretty shit, but they just need to be made for myself. I just need to stop being neurotic and just do something, because especially when I make these really long videos that I spend a lot of time working on, like the Yakuza one, it pretty much consumes my entire life from start to finish. Every day pretty much started out where I just wake up, go to the bathroom, shower, eat breakfast, and then I would work on the video to some extent, either play the game, write about the game, or edit the video, go to sleep, and then repeat. Barely if playing anything at all that isn't related to this video. And yeah, this is incredibly unhealthy to do, because then my entire life is just this video and it burns me out. So I'm trying to prevent myself and stop myself and get out of the cycle of doing this, because it is very self-destructive, and this video in a way is kind of me dealing with that. My channel has always very much been a way to express myself and been an outlet, and even when watching those videos and going back, the video's quality and how I am in those videos is very reflective of where I was in a position in my life. So now I'm just trying to break this unhealthy work style and try to enjoy myself some more. And if it wasn't already obvious enough with how the video has been so far, it's going to be very rambly, just a bunch of here and there ideas and opinions on the game, which not any sort of review style, just what I'm currently feeling about the game, which is pretty much what a review is anyway, because it's not like my opinions are set in stone forever, and videos I have made have changed since I've made them. I know because of the internet and how people use it and interact and discuss on it, it almost feels like a novel idea at times and a foreign concept that your opinions on a game can change after you state it to be one thing for one reason. Okay, enough pessimism pessimistic rambling. Let's get into the actual discussion about the games I've been playing over these past few months. Expect spoilers for them in some shape or form, so I'm going to have a table of contents in the description below so you could jump around and over things if you don't want to be spoiled on what I'm currently talking about. Hopefully in future videos I won't be as rambly about bullshit that no one really cares about, and just get in, talk about my video process and what I'm currently working on, and then get to the games. Maybe in future episodes I'll talk about what I've been currently watching, whether it be movies, anime, or TV shows, but I haven't been watching anything recently. The first game I'm going to be talking about is DMC1. I started playing it again the other day because someone in a server I'm in bought the collection on the Switch, which I recommend everyone to get because it comes with the Style Switcher mod built into the Switch version, and there's multiplayer Bloody Palace. I don't know how the multiplayer works, if it's online or if it's just couch co-op, but I would say that it is a good version to get if anyone is curious. There's some visual issues with the HD collections, but they're all like that. It's not even just the Switch version exclusively, so just know that going in that it might look a little weird in some areas because there are some filters missing and the hair looks pretty shitty, and especially in DMC3. DMC1 is just one of those games for me that I can sit down, relax, and just play through in a single sitting the whole game and just have a blast. I really love DMC1. It certainly has its issues, like I really don't enjoy the fight with Griffin in the arena. I think the camera is at its worst in that fight, but the game is just complex enough while still remaining simplistic that I just adore and I want to sink my teeth into. I love the shotgun jump cancel resets where you can just go off into the skybox if you're in the forest. Since DMC1 is so old now and rather simplistic, it's been pretty much completely figured out from a technical standpoint, and that's what I really like about the game because you can just watch a couple tutorials online and learn some tech and then pick it right up instantly. We'll never get something quite like it again, and that makes me sad because I would love something in the spirit of DMC1 to come out again, but I haven't played the Onimusha games, and I'm pretty sure those are somewhat similar to this from what I've been told. So hopefully for the next Backlog Monologue, I'll be talking about Onimusha Warlords because I did pick it up on the Steam sale recently because I thought I'd make a video on it, but if I end up not wanting to, it'll be in this. So either way, we'll probably get an Onimusha video. Okay, these next few I'm gonna lightning round just because I've only been nibbling at them and haven't been playing them for any long periods of time to talk about them at any great length. Animal Crossing New Horizon is my first Animal Crossing game, and I've been really enjoying the relaxation of playing it. I only play it about 30 minutes a day, so I just go around, do the regular gardening, collect my things. I'm currently trying to build Timmy and Tommy's shop right now, so I have all the wood, I just need the iron nuggets, which seems like it's going to take a while. I have a house now, and it's just been relaxing. I like the music and the art style a lot, and I love the sounds that the characters make when you talk to them. It's a nice soothing game that I play right before I go to bed. It just puts me in a calm state that I'm just like, this feels nice, and then I climb into my cozy bed and then go to sleep and then repeat the process. I played a bit of Blasphemous a while ago, and I don't think I'm going to make a video on it that is an in-depth review, but I was kinda on it. I think it was partially due to the fact that I've been burnt out because I was playing a bunch 2D action platformers like Death's Gambit, which I'll talk about in a little bit, but there's just something about the movement that just feels slightly too sluggish for me. I love the art style of the game and the music is really cool, but it didn't initially click with me. I'm going to give it another chance and play more of it, so maybe in the next episode of Backlog Monologue I'll come back and report that I liked it more, but I only played like 30 minutes of it before I was like, I'll come back, maybe they'll update it and give some patches and tune it a little more. I played Code Vein for like 15 minutes because I got it expecting it to be more co-op than it actually is. It's definitely my fault for not doing as much research as I should have before buying it, but I wasn't expecting anime Dark Souls with co-op as its main focus, especially since you have a AI partner with you for what seems like at all times unless you tell them to go away. So then I got together with a friend and played it, and then we found out the co-op partner that joins can't interact with the world at all or get any loot. So if we want to progress through the story, each of us has to go and join the other person's world, and that kind of put a sour taste in our mouth, so we just uninstalled it and I haven't touched it since. I do like the aesthetic of the game and some of the abilities look really cool, so I am eventually going to go back and play it. I just wish that the co-op could have been better because that was kind of the main draw to me. I've been on and off playing the new Modern Warfare, and it's pretty fun. It's probably the most fun I've had with a Call of Duty since Modern Warfare 2, which was quite a while ago. The guns feel nice. I enjoy the sliding mechanic. There's not really much to say about it. My only complaint with the game is that sometimes the matchmaking is not that good. I get put into games that are just about over and people are rage quitting because they're about to lose, so you get put onto teams that are just getting absolutely smashed, and it just feels like a waste of time. Also, people keep quitting too much, which has always been an issue with these types of games, but I find it's extra bad in this game because the maps are relatively large. So when people quit, it ends up just having you run around forever to find somebody, and then you might just get shot from somewhere you were never even gonna see, and then you just repeat the cycle of continuing to run around. There's not really much else to say. It's a Call of Duty game. You play online. I haven't touched a single player or the Spec Ops, which I don't know if it's considered Spec Ops in this game. Warzone just came out, which I also haven't touched, so maybe next month I'll report back in the next Backlog Monologue that I played it and if I enjoyed it or not. I'm kinda on Battle Royales to begin with. I liked Apex Legends. That's mainly because the guns felt really good and the mobility was really fun in that game and the character abilities were pretty fun, but I fell off it and I played the Black Ops 4's Blackout, I think it was called, and it was it had a lot of technical issues. Like, I remember the game ran pretty bad at first, which they eventually patched up, but at that point Apex was already out and I jumped to that and enjoyed it far more, and then they stopped supporting that, which was kind of funny because I want to say they said they weren't going to drop support for it right away. I did finish this one a while ago, but I do want to talk about it because I don't plan on making a big video on it at all, and that's Death's Gambit. It's another one of those pixel art 2D action side-scrolling Souls-like, and I guess you could consider it a Metroidvania. It's pretty fun. The sprite art is really nice. The game has voice acting and the portraits are gorgeous for these characters. The lore really interested me, and a bunch of the bosses you end up fighting had a lot of cool setup and background. Like, you fight this Galaxy Mage, I think he was called, and you're fighting him in space and he's shooting stars and planets at you. It's awesome. But unfortunately, this game does one of my most hated video game design choices, and it's the fact that most bosses have minions that join the fight partway through and are there to just distract you. Every game I do a video on where I have to do a boss fight where there's minions, I always say that if there are minions, it is because the boss fight itself is not interesting enough on its own to carry the weight. And that's also true for this game. But the game has done something that I've wanted the Souls series to do forever. Now, I said at the beginning of this video that I was going to have spoilers for these games, but I do want to put one more warning here, because if you do plan to play this game, which I'd recommend probably picking it up on sale, it's best to experience these moments blind. So 3, 2, 1, spoiler time. Up until this point in the game, everything has been fantasy. You got your knights, your demons, your monsters, the Grim Reaper, but then suddenly you fight someone with a sniper rifle. After 50% of the game being nothing but fantasy stuff, then you fight a super high-tech looking assassin, and then there's a section of the game where you're going through this high-tech laboratory. The abilities you have access to are all fun to use, and the game has a very Dark Souls 1 style crypticness to it with all the people that inhabit your hub world. My only real qualm with the game, other than the boss fights, is something I can't really articulate that well. While the game was fun and I enjoyed my time and didn't feel like it was a waste of money, I just don't see myself going back to do other builds and experiment with the game. If I was to dig deeper into the game's lore, I'd probably just end up reading a wiki or watching some YouTube videos rather than doing other playthroughs. And I don't know why, I just feel like there's something this game is missing. It's lacking. Maybe if it had a DLC, this could really help. I'm not really sure what this game is missing that's stopping me from coming back continuously for more playthroughs. The final 2D action platformer I've been playing is Dead Cells. I ended up buying the game early on in its alpha, during one of the Steam sales, but I never got around to actually playing it. Now that it's finally out of early access and has 2 DLCs, I finally booted it up for the first time, and it's really fun. The movement is so fluid and snappy, and it feels just great to play. Combat also has a nice weight to it, which I don't really feel with most 2D action platformers that I've played. The music, the visuals, the enemies, and their cues, that being auditory or visual to let you know that they're about to attack, are all excellent. But I do have a few complaints with the game. For as much as I find the traversal and just the act of playing this game fun, I think it takes way too long and too many attempts to get all of your mobility options, because you can't fully explore the game's world without all of them. So some runs just have to be dedicated to getting abilities and then dying or succeeding and then doing it again to get the rest of them. Which I get that that's the point of this game because it is a roguelike, but I would have much preferred just a Metroidvania or just a regular 2D platformer. Dead Cells has basically become the game I play in the background while I'm just waiting to do stuff or talking to friends, because it's a game that I can mindlessly play and not have to give my full attention to it like multiplayer games, for example Rainbow Six Siege. I've been playing through SMT4 to try to finally finish my neutral path playthrough so I can move on to SMT4 Apocalypse. I have no way to record the game, so I'm just going to have a picture of the OST cover on the screen right now. So if you're not actually watching the video, then you're really not missing anything for this section. After releasing the Persona 5 video, I fear that maybe it comes off that I just hate all Atlas games, or I just think Persona is shit, or SMT is shit. I really don't know what people think that I think, but to clear the air, I actually like a lot of Atlas games. Most of them I would say are incredibly flawed and in some areas just completely unfun to play, but despite all that, I still like a bunch of them. I never go in wanting to hate an Atlas game. In fact, I really want to like all of them because I love and adore some of the things that they try to do with their games, but Atlas just makes it really hard to not hate them. Their whack-ass streaming guidelines for all of their recent games, like in the P5 Royal one where it says to not talk badly about the game, which I think is fucking stupid, and there's absolutely no way for them to enforce that. Announcing games way too early and then not saying a single thing about them for years, like SMT5 or Tokyo Mirage Sessions. Their obsession with having announcements for announcements for announcements, like they did with the base release of Persona 5 and Persona 5 Royal. Not having simultaneous worldwide releases, which I could understand earlier before it became one of the most iconic RPGs ever. Like, Persona 5 is fucking massive. People who don't know what the fuck a Persona is or don't even like JRPGs know and have seen this game. It was easily one of the most talked about games of 2017. But Royal couldn't get a simultaneous worldwide release despite other companies doing the same exact thing. Then they do the same shit that Konami does with Yu-Gi-Oh, where they pretend that the West doesn't exist after everybody sees all of their Japanese announcements, and they just completely ignore everything and expect us to just get hype for a thing that we already know exists, yet they try to hype it up. It's like, well, obviously it's going to be the fucking announcement for the Western release, because what else is there for you to show in America? Then they dump a port of Catherine onto PC, which I'm happy for, but it was the base version a month before the Japanese release of Full Body, and there's still no release of Full Body on PC. Alright, I'm just gonna cut the ranting about Atlas here. I really just wish they would get new people that make the decisions at the top and just make good games. I hope SMT5 ends up being really good. I never want their games to fail or be bad, but often I find that there's enough glaring issues that just bother me to no end. Atlas always has a ton of things going for their games. They always have really neat ideas, they always have really cool presentation, art style, but it's often the execution of these ideas that I find really lacking. I love the setting of this game. It is so fucking cool. I could still remember when you leave Mikado for the first time and come down into Tokyo. Then you wander around interacting with all these different demons, and the sprite work of these demons is fucking phenomenal. But after a while, I found exploring Tokyo kind of a slog. Normally, when I see people complain about JRPGs, they always say the opening hours of the game are the most boring. And I guess I could see that on repeat playthroughs, but the opening for most JRPGs is usually some of the most interesting stuff for me, since it sets up a lot of the world building. It's usually in the middle where I find that JRPGs become somewhat of a slog, and I think that's the case with this game. A lot of the mid-game quests just become go here, go there, back and forth fetch quests, and I didn't really find it all that fun, but learning more about the city and the people and demons that inhabit it was always a driving force to keep me going through even the unenjoyable sections of this game. Since the game is all about choosing the side between law and chaos, it's pretty hilarious when you get some of the scenes that are so ham-fisted to get you onto a certain track, like the whole cave section where you have to make a decision based on these scenarios given to you, and it is hilariously binary. The filling the cup quest is what is taking me so long from finishing this playthrough. It's so fucking boring. Some of these side quests are just MMO tier busy work crap, but I'm pretty sure SMT Apocalypse is a continuation of the neutral route, so I want to play that eventually, so I gotta complete a neutral path in this game to do that. Since recording what you just listened to, which I did around April, maybe May, it is now June 30th, about to be July 1st, and I have since completed the neutral route, because during my time of relaxing and just not working on videos, I was like, hey, let me just sit down and do these fucking fill the cup side quests, and honestly, I didn't really find it all that satisfying. Maybe because I kept picking up and dropping the game over the course of a few months trying to actually do said neutral route. I just didn't find it as satisfying as, say, the Chaos ending. I probably should have just watched the neutral ending on YouTube and got into SMT Apocalypse. I kinda wish the final cutscene went on a little longer, but overall the game is still fine. I'd still recommend it with a bunch of caveats being like, the middle game isn't that strong. Some of the dialogue is hilariously bad because it has to be binary for either being law or chaos, and it's obviously setting up things. The one line that made me laugh out loud for how weird and kind of awkward it felt to me was Burroughs' line before you beat Lucifer, where she's like, wow, humans are like gods who can give others hope or despair. I just found that hilariously chuny. I don't think I'm going to start it right away, but expect me to talk about SMT4 Apocalypse at some point in one of these videos. Since I was working on the Resident Evil 3 video, I wanted to warm myself up with classic Resident Evil by replaying RE2, and goddamn do I still love that game. It's one of those games that I just love going back to because it makes me happy every time I play it. From the aesthetic, to the cheesy voice acting, to the sound design, to the music, everything I just love about this game. Nothing is more satisfying than tilting your shotgun up and blowing off a group of zombies' heads in this game. I've mentioned in plenty of other videos that I struggle to explain why I love games that I do in a well-articulated way like I do when I explain why I hate games. And this is one of them. It's just everything comes together and gives me this warm fuzzy feeling when playing through it. I feel like a kid again. It's the same kind of feeling that Ratchet & Clank Going Commando gives me when I replay that game. The feeling of simpler times, the feeling of happier times, even if realistically they weren't. I get this irreplaceable feeling of magic and wonderment playing these games, which very few games do now for me. And I don't know if that's just nostalgia talking, or that the things that I loved about old games, especially from the 6th generation, just aren't really put into many games anymore. I definitely felt that when I played through DMC5, so I think it is probably just most games aren't that good, or I just don't connect with them as much as I used to. The more I think about it, the more I feel like it's because the shift in what our hardware limitations are. There still are limitations, but they're different than what it was back in the 6th generation, at least to some extent. So now without those restrictions, games just become worse to me because things that were maybe originally wanted to be in those games couldn't be, like big empty open worlds, or a lot of bloat just to pad game runtimes, or while really impressive visual fidelity, it just ends up being homogenized and bland, forgettable art styles. So these limitations ended up making these games better because of it. I'm glad that developers have easier tools to make games now, but I can never shake the ever-present thought in the back of my mind that art versus adversity is the reason why better products are made. Just because we can do all these things doesn't mean we should. So with limitations, you have to think what is really important and what is really going to make this game good, because there's a limit to what you can do. Like, yeah, RE2 Remake and RE3 Remake to an extent look really good, but there's still just an unbeatable charm of the way the original looked. Yeah, zombies look like booger people, but I just like it. I don't know. I think this topic could be a longer video if I really wanted to sit down and try to articulate my points better. But just thinking about hardware limitation and visuals, it's funny to look back at this game and be like, wow, when I was a kid, when my brother would bring it over while he was visiting for the weekends, I used to think this looks real, but now it looks hilariously bad and low poly, but I love it because of it. Another thing I haven't really talked about in any capacity is Kingdom Hearts Remind. The DLC that came out, I believe at the start of this year? I can't really remember honestly, just so much shit coming out and just, and I played it. I haven't beaten all the data orgs yet, so yeah, but I know what happens at the end. Originally I thought, now that the DLC's out, maybe I'll do a big elaborate KH3 review. But then after some more thinking and gathering footage, I was like, is it really worth my time? I don't think so. I don't think I have anything unique to say that hasn't already been criticized, and I really don't have anything to praise that hasn't already been praised either. I feel like I would just be adding another, I really found KH3 kind of disappointing review to the pile. I played it, I found it kind of underwhelming and wasn't really that satisfied, but not worked up enough to talk about it to any sort of extent. I just beat it and moved on to the next thing that I enjoyed more. I don't give scores out usually for games, but I would say it's a solid, alright game. It's not bad, it's not amazing, but I wanted it to be amazing. I wanted this to be the big finale, the big oomph that I was looking for, but it wasn't that for me. And the more I sit and stew on KH3 and Remind, the more I kind of feel the same still. There are things that I've come to appreciate as I have let it sit in my mind longer, but there's also a bunch of things I was just like, I really didn't connect with it. It kind of just happened, and I could see in my mind going, yeah, this should be a really hype moment I should be getting excited over, but I'm not, and I really don't know why I wasn't. There was a bunch of ideas that I did like in KH3 and stuff that I hope would be expounded upon on whatever the next mainline title is going to be, or whatever the next console version is going to be that has this type of combat, because I personally really dislike the command deck system from Birth by Sleep and 3D. I hope that the Keyblade swapping would be instant next time. If this by some miracle gets a PC release eventually, I hope people mod that in. That would be so much fun. I love the Lingering Will. He's like one of the coolest things ever, despite just being a suit of armor kept alive by someone being so angry that they won't die. I love that in the secret boss in KH2, he just didn't speak. There was just text on the screen, and it had this really ominous feeling, which is why I really dislike that he talks in KH3. It just takes me out of the moment when it should have been so much cooler than it was. It also didn't help that I thought that the fight scene in base KH3 was really flaccid. The thing that I was really hoping for going into Remind was that you would actually get a chance to play the Lingering Will, even if it was only for a single fight, like you could play as Aqua during the Vanitas fight. But that didn't happen, and I see that as a missed opportunity. I think my biggest qualm with the Remind DLC is how it makes you have to replay a bunch of fights and moments from the end of the game. I don't know what they could have done different, but I just felt like, yeah, I've seen this already, and I've already done this just so I can get some more context. Maybe if I was more into these moments happening, I would be excited to get new context, but I really wasn't. It just set up a bunch more things that I wasn't all that interested in. I don't know, maybe I might just check out of Kingdom Hearts from here just because I see no point in going in something that I'm not really enjoying anymore. I do think the data.org makes this DLC worth, and I'm interested to see whatever Nomura plans to do with the remaking, or reinterpretation, or reusing of Final Fantasy Versus 13 after seeing the secret movie after beating the organization. I was really excited for Versus 13, so if they're just gonna do that again but in Kingdom Hearts, fuck it, I'm down. I don't know what the fuck he plans to do with that, and that does have me interested more than anything else set up so far in Remind or in KH3 as a whole. I think that's all I want to talk about for this video. If you made it this far, thanks for listening. I know this video is probably pretty shit. I'm not really all that happy with it, but I just wanted to put it out to just do content, because the first when you do something new is never going to be good. It's going to be fucking terrible, and I just needed to get over the barrier of making it so I can start improving and doing better. Hopefully next month's, or whenever I do the next one, if I haven't played enough to warrant an episode, will be way more enjoyable. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and if you like the channel, maybe consider becoming a patron on Patreon. I'm now going to shout out my $5 and up patrons who really help support the channel. Bully, Static Burrito, Ricardo Morales, William Moore, Mr. Kill Jr., Tyler Schertzer, Some Panda, Poke Joke S, Joshua D. Larino, Chichomatrius, Scarlet Kingdom, Ben Johnson, Oods of Nudes, Fish Kami, Joan Eisen, Alejandro Benitez, Star Fox, and Flarbu. Thanks so much, guys. Mwah. If you're a card game player of any kind, I have a TCG Player affiliate link in the description below. Any purchases you make while clicking the link will give me a small kickback, which will help further support the channel. As always, thanks for watching, and see you next time.